What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW video. So Pokemon Go made a recent announcement for some changes in Pokemon Go, where firstly we're going to see some new updates, some new features that I think that the community is going to like. Unfortunately though, there is going to be some downsides where Pokemon Go is actually removing some features that the community has become accustomed to and absolutely love in the game, and they're going to be taken away, which is a little bit unfortunate. So of course, we're going to be having a discussion about the good, the bad. I'll give you my opinion along the way, and I know I'm late to the party, but I can promise you, you are going to enjoy it. I'm going to make a grand entry on this one because I'm not just going to give you my opinion on whether I think it's good or bad. I'm actually going to try to explain why I think Niantic is shrinking down the distance, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to do that towards the back half of the video, so definitely make sure that you stick around for that. But anyways, if you do enjoy this episode, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. So let's go ahead and dive into this. So Go Stadium made a really cool graphic summarizing all of the changes. So first things first, we've got the bonuses that will stay with us. Now, as far as the biggest bonuses are concerned, having the incense increased to 60 minutes compared to the old 30 minutes, I think is a good improvement. No walking requirements for Go Battle League. I think that is amazing. I just hated that when that first got introduced, that you had to walk 3 kilometers or 5 kilometers or whatever it was just to be able to do a single set of GBL. I felt like that prevented a lot of people from even trying it. It was a barrier to entry in my opinion, so glad that is gone. And then up next, we've got the remote battles. I don't think that that's very relevant to some extent. It's not very impactful, I guess is a better way to say that. So maximum number of gifts remaining at 20 that you can hold in your bag. It's so hard to believe that it used to be 10. And then of course being upgraded to 20 is nice, but 20 felt right before they updated the friends list size up to 400. So to some extent, I actually think that this is a little bit outdated and it should probably be 30. Potentially, yeah, I think 30 is probably a good spot for that. Speaking of 30, we've got trainers being able to open up 30 gifts per day compared to the previous 20. So of course that's going to be an improvement. For those of you out there trying to get Pokeballs, for example, yeah, this is going to be a great way to do that. And then finally, we've got 3 times XP, 3 times Stardust for your first catch of the day. We love getting XP. We love getting Stardust. So I think that that's a good improvement. So anyways, let's get and move on to some of the new updates. First things first, a big update is going to be the ability to receive 2 free raid passes per day by spinning a gym photo disc. I think that this is going to be an amazing value over the longevity of the game. Think that this is great. Going out there and doing yourself an hour raid for a legendary raid boss, for example, and getting 2 free raid passes. I think that that's going to be fantastic. Then of course up next, incense is a little tricky because they're kind of keeping it, but they're kind of nerfing it at the same time. So we have to actually discuss removal and addition at the same time. So first things first, they're moving it back to the standard edition if you stand still, which means you're going to get a Pokemon every 5 minutes, which in my opinion makes the incense irrelevant. Every 5 minutes, that's just such a long time. But then of course we get it for 60 minutes, so you get twice the amount of Pokemon you used to get, but every 5 minutes, come on. And then simultaneously, if you get out and move with an incense on, you will get it to what we have now, which is going to be every minute. So we're getting to keep what we have now if you get out and move. And I'm okay with this. I think that this kind of fits Niantic's narrative of getting you out, getting you moving, and at least we get to keep it to some extent. So what I think is going to happen is people are going to quit using incense when they're just like at home, for example, and they're just going to use it when they go out and play, when they would already be out to play to some extent. But hey, at least we get to keep it some way or another. Then next, we got guaranteed gifts while spinning Pokestop. I genuinely thought we already had guaranteed gifts, but apparently not. I guess it was random. Now it's guaranteed. I don't know if that's that big of a deal, though. Let me know what you think about that. And then up next, we've got receiving 10 times bonus XP from spinning a Pokestop for the first time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know how impactful that is, initially what would happen is if you spin a new Pokestop with the halo on it, it would be 250 experience. Now with this being times 10, that's 2,500. And then if you put on a lucky egg, then now you're talking about 5,000 experience for every new Pokestop that you spin. A couple of years ago, there ended up being a similar event like this, but it was an event. It wasn't a permanent feature, where there ended up being a player who was able to hit level 40 in a single weekend just by spinning new Pokestops and not catching a single Pokemon, which is just crazy. Just let that sink in. So if you're out there like me trying to chase that XP, this could end up giving you some motivation to try to go to a new location. At least it does for me. So the incentive is definitely there, and I think it's something that I'm definitely going to try to grind some experience there. So I think that that is a fantastic update as far as XP is concerned. But of course, we got to get over to the negative side and kind of save this for the majority of the discussion. But we'll go ahead and tackle the little one first. We've got the buddies not giving you gifts, or it's at least going to be reduced, like the number of times that they give you gifts. I mean, come on. That seems so stupid to me. That's not that big of a deal, at least, but that just seems like kind of a minor addition that people, that was positive for the game, and just to remove that. But then, of course, we've got the gym and Pokestop Distance that's being reverted back to the standard distance. Oh my God, people are going crazy about this one. So for those of you who don't know, we actually have the radius doubled right now, where it makes it so much more convenient to get your stop spun, get those gyms spun. And they did it for social distancing for COVID, but now they're reverting it back to where that circle is going to be really tight, really small. And of course, a lot of people have problems with that. But I actually wanted to save part of the video and talk about this and why they're actually doing this, because we have to really take a step back. A lot of people are saying to themselves, why would Niantic do this? This doesn't benefit the players at all. Why are they not making their customers happy? Unfortunately, we have to remember that we are not actually the only customers of Niantic. There's a second set of customers, which are the advertisers, the ones who pay for sponsored stops, such as Starbucks, such as McDonald's, such as Sprint. And I'm going to be using that as an example as to why Niantic is incentivized to revert that back. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. We have to do a little bit of a precursor to this. First things first, we've got the concept of virtual surveillance capitalism, and this is going to be a term that I think people have heard of before, and that's referred to as click-through rate. So an advertiser puts up something on a website, right? And what ends up happening is people see it, but people don't necessarily engage with it. The click-through rate is the number of people who end up clicking on that actual ad. But that doesn't mean that people end up making the purchase, right? Or follow through with whatever they're doing. That's going to be the final conversion rate. So hopefully this is a little bit more familiar to you. You've got advertisements. There's a number of people that see it. So that's the exposure. Then you've got the ratio of people who click through it. And then finally, the number of people who actually end up converting. Well, believe it or not, Niantic actually does this in real life, which is pretty interesting. And that's something that we haven't really seen a lot yet, but it's probably going to become more popular. And instead, this is going to be referred to as the term footfall. So they have sponsored stops, for example, that have those really cool research rewards, and that gets you incentivized to go to that specific location, which is referred to as footfall. It gets you to the door. It gets you around the place. It gets you close to it. Does that necessarily mean that you go through the drive-through at McDonald's and get something just because you're there? No. But that does mean that gives you the chance to do that. And there are probably going to be some people who end up going through the drive-through because they're already there. So I wanted to go ahead and give an example of why Niantic would be doing this and why they're incentivized to reduce it to make the sponsorships more valuable. So let's say that McDonald's has a sponsorship set up and they are like, you know, we want to get people to, of course, come into our location, get some products. Currently, as it stands, we've got this blue circle here. What could end up happening is people could just drive through the road, and there ends up being a spot where they can technically spin the Pokestop without even having to enter into McDonald's. But let's say that they go ahead and reverse it back, right? And what's going to end up happening is a person's going to have to drive in, turn into McDonald's now because the radius is too small for them to get it from the road. And now they're sitting in the drive-through kind of area for McDonald's. And of course, some people are just gonna, you know, go around and, you know, and then exit, which is inconvenient, right? You'd rather just drive through on the main road. But at the same time, though, some people are gonna say, you know what? I want to get a McFlurry if the ice cream machine is still working. Why not? I'm already here. And that's going to be that conversion rate. So at least in my opinion, it comes down to them trying to make the sponsorships more happy to guarantee a better footfall, that people are actually at the location instead of people just kind of like driving by or whatever and able to spin those Pokestops. But that's at least my opinion on that. And then of course we saw some kind of leaks get brought up about powering up Pokestops, where I think genuinely what's going to happen is we're going to see sponsored Pokestops just give out more rewards and stuff and give more incentive for people to come to that location based on those sponsorships. So that's of course at least my opinion as to why I think Niantic is doing that. Maybe that's something that a lot of people haven't thought about, because we think about it from the player base, but there is another audience. Do I agree with it? No, not really, but I think it's important to bring this up because I haven't really heard any content creator talk about any of this. They've only just said like, this makes no sense to the players. And unfortunately, we aren't the only customer. We're sort of the product to a different customer that Niantic has, which is the sponsored company. So anyways, I would love to know what you think about this. I think it's a very interesting topic, but I think it can open up your eyes if you kind of think about it this way. Of course, this is my opinion on why I think Niantic is doing this, but I would love to know what you think about these updates in the comment section below. I definitely want to have a discussion, so make sure that you do that. But anyways, I want to give a huge shout out to the supporters over at Patreon. Thank you so much. We've got a new Discord server. We're talking Pokemon Go. We are coordinating for raids daily. So if you're interested in connecting with that, and then of course supporting the channel, make sure to check out that link in the description below, and I will see you next time.